friends. So today is the 2nd of December and I wanted to sit down to film a tag video. If you know anything about me, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I absolutely love tag videos. So I was really excited to do this one. So this tag is called the end of year book tag. I believe this was originally created by Ariel Bissett. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. But I will put the link to the original video down below if you guys want to check that out. All right, so I already went ahead and went through the questions and wrote down my answers to try to make this as concise and non-rambly as possible. So hopefully that will work out for me. The first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? I do have a shelf on my Goodreads account that I call On Hold, which I use as kind of like my DNF bookshelf. And those are books that I started and for whatever reason, I just didn't finish. Now, every book that I start and don't finish, I don't put on that shelf because sometimes I just don't remember. Sometimes I just don't really care if it's not something that I care to start reading again. So to quickly answer that question, yes, I do have 3 specific books that I am kind of wanting to finish. That actually goes along with another question in this tag. But the 3 books that I wanted to mention that I haven't finished this year are Six of Crows, A Darker Shade of Magic, and If We Were Villains. I feel like these are very hyped up books, and for some reason I just started them and then wasn't able to finish. I know Six of Crows was, I don't know if maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset to like learn about a new world. I don't know what it was about Six of Crows that just like wasn't grabbing my attention and like wasn't making me excited. But I've heard so many people say really good things about it, so I definitely want to read it. I just have to kind of be in the right mindset to do so. And then the other book is A Dark Shade of Magic. Same thing. I actually read a decent amount of this book, but like I said, I didn't finish it. And also, I believe A Darker Shade of Magic is a pretty hefty book, if I'm remembering correctly. I read all my books on the Libby app from my library, so I had to end up returning it to my library after I renewed it like 3 times, and then I didn't even read it any of those times. So I was just kind of like, let me just let this go, let it rest for a little bit, and then I will return back to it when I feel like doing so. But it's kind of the same deal as Six of Crows. It just felt a little bit slow, and I don't know, I just wasn't really in the mood for it, but I do definitely want to read it eventually. And then the last book, If We Were Villains. Again, I've heard really great things about this. I wanted to read this in like October when I was reading more like spooky, thriller, murder mystery, stuff like that. But it wasn't available at my library, and it still isn't available. It says like unknown wait time. The audiobook came available and I was trying to listen to that, and I feel like I need to read it. It's something that I need to read. I can't like hear it. I've been tempted to buy it because I feel like I'm gonna like it, but I don't want to make that commitment of purchasing it if I'm not absolutely positive that I'm gonna like it. So next question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? As of right now, we are in winter. It actually snowed yesterday, which is wild because I live in the South. But if I was going to pick something as like an autumnal read to kind of transition me into the autumn time, or out of the autumn time into winter or like the end of the year, I would definitely pick Anne of Green Gables, because that just like is the epitome of autumn to me, and I feel like a lot of other people, it just she just expresses and describes autumn so beautifully, and I love so many quotes related to autumn from those books. And so yeah, that's definitely something that I like reading during the autumn time, and I feel like it would be a good transition. I also have another book that I added onto here. I just started listening to A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And the reason why I added this one is because I felt like it would be a good book to read at the end of the year, not necessarily focusing on the autumnal part of that question, but reading it at the end of the year, kind of leading up into a new year. I feel like it's going to be really beneficial to me. I think I'm going to listen to it on audiobook and also get the book from the library as well, so I can read it whenever I feel like reading it too. And so yeah, I thought that would be a little nice one to throw in there. Is there a new release that you are still waiting for? To be perfectly honest, I don't really pay attention to like release dates of different books. This year has definitely been me getting back into reading and figuring out like what genres I like, what authors I like and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm not really at a place to be paying attention to like when certain books are going to be released from like certain authors and stuff. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? All right, so the 3 books that I want to read are A New Earth, which I talked about before. It's a very like spirituality focused book, and I don't really know too much about it. I've heard from a lot of people whose opinion I trust that the book is really good and really enlightening, and so I'm excited to read it. I don't, surprisingly, based on the amount, I'm looking at my bookshelf right now, based on the amount of like self-help, spirituality books that I have on my bookshelf, you would think that I read a lot of that stuff, and how like kind of in the world I kind of am. I don't actually read a lot of them. I feel like books like this, I need to listen on audiobook for some reason. I just will retain it a little bit better. Then the second book is The Queen of Nothing. This is the last book in the Folk of Air series, and I'm so stoked to read it. I started this series this year, and I am planning on finishing it this year. I already downloaded the book on my tablet, and so I'm just really excited to see how it wraps up. The last book is A Deadly Education. Again, this is a book that has been very hyped up. It's been something that I have heard a lot of people talking about. It's again something that I ordered from my library like months ago. I was planning on reading it in October. It just hasn't come available because, again, it's very popular. And so I'm just kind of waiting for that to become available, and hopefully I'll be able to read that before the end of the year, but I'm not really holding my breath. It's not like the end of the world if I don't finish it, but I would like to read that. Next question is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book this year? So I don't necessarily have a specific book that I think could shock me and become my favorite. I still need to like compile a list to figure out which book is my favorite. Maybe I'll do like a top 10. I don't really know. I don't necessarily keep a TBR. This is the last question. Have you already started making reading plans for 2021? So I don't really have any plans of like specific books that I want to read, if that makes sense. I do have a few like reading goals, and so I'll share that with you guys in just a second. But when I focus on like books that I want to read, I pretty much just add all of the books to my want to read shelf on Goodreads, and so I'm just going to be reading stuff off of there. But to focus on kind of like my goals for reading for next year, my first one is to read more than this year, which I feel like isn't going to be hard to do because I really started reading during the like end part of 2020. That's really when I started getting in a good flow and getting a good rhythm and reading a good amount of books every month. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna make as my Goodreads like challenge for next year, because I don't want to do too much and like overwhelm myself. I enjoy when I make the goal lower and then I surpass it. Like this year I set it to 20, and so far I have read 34. Another goal that I have is to read more diversely. Again, this goes along with just like reading more on my want to read shelf on Goodreads. I have a good amount of books. I have a good amount of diverse authors, which makes me really, really happy. A lot of different genres, diverse genres. I have a lot of diverse topics, something that I really want to focus on. And if you follow Goodreads, you would have seen all of the freaking queer, especially sapphic novels that I have added to my list. So yeah, that's definitely going to be something that I am focusing on more next year because I've never really delved into that world, surprisingly. And then the last thing is to read all of my doula training books that I need in order to get my certification. I have had 2 years, well, it'll be 2 years in like March or April, that I've had to finish the program, and I have not done so. So I am going to try to, my goal is to finish that hopefully sometime this year. And if I don't end up getting the certification, I at least want to read all the books because I think that they'll just be really beneficial for me in general. So yeah, that's pretty much all for this tag video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Also, if you have any suggestions for any more books that you think I would like that I can add to my list, just let me know down below. I am so excited for this upcoming year, let's hope. It's just as transformative as this year has been. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day so far. I hope you are finding joy in whatever way it is that you can, and I will see you all in my next video. I love you. Bye.